I mean, cheers. Wait, I forgot to put this in. There's nothing in here because we got some beautiful sake from one of my students, Y-san, Toyo Bijin. I've heard about this one before. Have you heard of this one, Austin?
I can't say I have.
You can't say you have, but well, if you drink this, you'll become a Toyo Bijin, apparently.
Well, I already am.
Yeah, you are a Toyo Bijin. Is that true? Beautiful. Look at this.
Dude,
thank you very much, Y-san.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just can't get over that leather case.
I know, isn't that so nice?
It's such a bougie.
Don't say that. That's so.
I mean, I guess that is kind of a negative thing to say, but
yeah,
it just feels like overly fancy.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
It
is very fancy, but I appreciate it.
You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen a leather case before for Nihonshu.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
it is the first time seeing that.
Yeah.
I heard though that Toyo Bijin is actually fairly famous.
I am super excited.
Yeah. So I've never had it before, but this is Junmai Daiginjo, and then here let's.
Oh yeah.
For combing for our assistant. Thank you. All right, you ready to taste it?
All right, here we go.
Man.
Come by. Oh my God, that is so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is good. Yeah. It's funny because it doesn't have like the kizake thing on it, but it has that kind of like
a little bit
juiciness
right?
almost.
Yeah, it's like it kind of like drinking juice.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's really good. This is great. I'm gonna have to get this again. This is great.
This is really good.
We should put this on our wish list, so if someone wants to buy it again for us, we can do that. Oh, wonderful. All right, let me put this on. So, Austin, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so we are gonna talk about annoying foreigners.
Yeah, the problem of over tourism in Japan.
Yeah, so this has been a topic that we actually thought of this a while back.
Yeah.
And we just have like such a big backlog of like topics to talk about on our videos that we're just now kind of getting into it. But I've been excited to talk about this for a while because
you hate yourself?
No, I love myself. But those darn tourists coming to Japan and making everything
I
all
don't like
weird.
Americans in Japan except for me.
But yeah, there's a lot of news recently this past year regarding tourism.
Yeah.
Because a couple things have kind of happened recently in Japan.
Yeah.
So first, I keep pulling away from the mic. It's like my first time I'm doing the podcast again.
Yeah, right.
So the first thing that happened was COVID.
Yeah.
COVID happened in Japan, and they closed the borders, and people weren't allowed to come for like almost
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah, it was like 2 years or something, right? So it was really weird because at that time, I want to say this was 2022. Yeah, it was 2022. The borders, I think, had just opened up that summer, but people still like hadn't started coming to Japan yet. And I was with my wife, who was my fiance at the time. We were looking for places to have our wedding. Yeah. We were in Kyoto, and I've been to Kyoto before, but it was so weird going to Kyoto because there was no tourists at all.
Yeah.
Kyoto was empty.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
Yeah, right?
It was so
It's like how
nice.
Kyoto should be.
Oh my God, it was so great. So like we went down by the river and we were like, eating ice cream by the river.
The Kamogawa?
There was no one there.
Yeah.
Restaurants, buses, they were so comfortable. Walking in the street in downtown Kyoto was so nice because there was no one there.
Yeah.
We went to like all the tourist places like Fushimi Inari. Yeah. No one there. And it was so cool.
Yeah. And then the yen got weak.
Yeah. So then foreigners were allowed to, I should say tourists were allowed to come back to Japan. And then kind of you mentioned that's my second thing. Yeah. Is the economy is really bad right now.
Well, I wouldn't say the economy. I would just say like the value of the yen is really low.
Yeah. So the yen is, I haven't checked today.
It's 156. I checked today.
Oh, it dropped down.
Yeah, it's dropping down now. But up until recently, it was like 160.
Yeah. So I think a week and a half ago, it peaked at like 162.
Yeah.
And I got really sad.
Yeah, right.
But even at 156, that's a dollar is 1.5 times stronger.
Yeah. Right.
Here.
Yeah, so like when my parents come and visit, they're like, "Wow, everything is so cheap. You can get ramen for like $4." Like, you can get ramen for $4.
Yeah.
It's like $8 to me because I live here, you know?
Yeah, then that's the thing, right? So what you're seeing right now is a massive surge in people visiting Japan right now, which in some ways is a really good thing, because that means people are coming to Japan, they're spending a lot of money, and they're kind of supporting the economy.
Yeah, although it's only like 2% of GDP.
Sure. But the other problem is, well, there's actually a couple problems, but the first problem is there's overcrowding at tourist spots. So, so much so that I'm seeing tourists in places that I've never seen tourists before.
Yeah, right.
So I'll give you an example. So I work in Tokyo, in downtown Tokyo. I'm near Tamachi and Shiba Koen.
Yeah.
And you typically see tourists around Tokyo Tower.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because it's a big tourist place. Yeah. It's like, oh, let's go to Tokyo Tower. They built it to look like the Eiffel Tower. It's in the center of Tokyo. You know, people want to go visit it. You never saw people in Shimbashi.
Yeah.
There's nothing interesting for tourists in Shimbashi.
Yeah.
There's just businesses, karaoke, and izakaya there.
Yeah.
Right? But last time I was in Shimbashi, there was a ton of tourists walking around. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I think it's because a lot of people now, you know, because Japan is so, the yen is so weak. So actually a lot of people can come more frequently. And now what you're starting to see is you're starting to see people who are looking for Japan off the beaten path. And so they're trying to go to the places that are not normally visited. Like there's a Facebook group that's literally titled Off the Beaten Path Traveling in Japan. Yeah. And there is almost like 30,000 people in that group.
Oh man, I believe it. And I think not only that, but just because I can't speak right now, just because the yen is so cheap right now, a lot of Americans are coming here with the intent of just blowing cash. Yeah. They come here and it's like, I just want to spend a ton of money. Yeah. Where maybe if we were looking at 10 or 20 years ago, they'd be more frugal with their vacation funds. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like I know a lot of people before were saying, man, I would love to go to Japan one day, but you know, it's just too expensive for me to go. And now those people are saying, yeah, let's go to Japan. I'm going to buy everything. Yeah. It's crazy. So there's another Facebook group that I'm part of, just regular Japan travel planning. And it's very common to see people say, I came with 1 suitcase and I left with 4 because 3 of the suitcases have all the things I bought. I gotta buy my samurai sword. Yeah, samurai. Well, it's not just that. It's also like figurines and stuff and like all the little toys. Don't even get me started. It's so weird. Like so there's this thing where they I forgot what they call it. They call it like their, not like bounty photos or like their, like basically they show what they got. What they'll do is when they get back to their home, they'll go to their bedroom and they'll put all their things that they bought on their bed in the bedroom. They call it like my haul. Yeah. Right. Yeah. This is my haul, and they lay it all in their bed, and it's like all these like, you know, they have like, you know, special candies from Japan, special like okashi, like snacks. And they have like 10 Hatsune Miku dolls. I'm like, why do you need 10? Because you're going to give them to people or resell them or something? No, it's all going on the shelf. Dude, it's just... Yeah. So we're... Like I said, it's not all bad, because at the end of the day, there's more interest in Japan. There's more people coming to Japan and getting more interest. And I think that's a wonderful thing. It's really good for people to be exposed to Japanese culture, because it kind of does 2 things, right? Yeah. It first of all, it eliminates this like golden fantasy land that people seem to have when they think of Japan around the world. Really? I thought it like, so I think when you come to live here, you lose that fantasy. But when you come to travel, there's so many people I know who say, Japan is so amazing. I can't wait to go back. I wish I could live here. But I mean, it depends on what you experience, I guess. I think it does kill a little bit of the fantasy coming here, because it's like, oh, this is an anime land. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's not anime land. That's for sure. Yeah. Like, But you know, there's still people who think this place is like the perfect place to live when visiting. Oh, Komin, can you go get that for me? That's another bottle of sake, actually, from one of our assistants. Nice. Not one of our assistants, one of our fans. They sent it directly to here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet someone's going to notice this in the comments and put a timestamp on it.
It's Amazon. It's going to be exciting. So basically, no, so yeah, I get it. But then, I think it's good, but also there are a lot of problems that happen too, because, a part of Gion has been like walled off from tourists. Like you can't go there because they bother the Maiko so much.
So that's kind of where I want to kind of steer things into, because so we have there's two massive changes.
Komi, you could just put it in the kitchen. Just put it in the kitchen. Yeah.
There's two massive changes that have happened recently that I think are kind of associated with tourism here. So the first one is, like you mentioned, in Kyoto. The geisha were being, it wasn't even really geisha, it was actually Maiko, who were getting sometimes harassed by tourists, but mostly people just coming up and taking pictures without their permission. Because they come up and do it like, and just like run away, and that's rude.
Did you see there was this video, I forget where it was, of this woman, I think she was Italian or something. She's probably Italian because she was rude, whatever. I can say that, I'm part Italian. But no, there was this woman who, there was like a Maiko, and she didn't touch the Maiko or anything, but she like walked right next to the Maiko to take a picture. Yeah. And then she ran in front of the Maiko to take a picture. And then she turned around and take another picture. And then the Maiko walked by and she walked in front of her again and take another picture. Yeah. It's like, are you that
that's what I was
desperate for a
mentioning,
photo?
right? And it's like that. I mean, that's just problems with etiquette.
Yeah.
I mean,
with
like,
etiquette.
Etiquette?
You said etiquette. Stop making up words, man.
You know what? I'm speaking English. I can make up all the words I want. Anyways, but it's an etiquette problem, right? Yeah. Like, that's not unique to Japan. I mean, you go to like a convention where people do cosplay, or you go to an official place in another country, like right off the bat, like the Royal Guard that are protecting Buckingham Palace in London. You will get arrested for doing that. Yeah. That's that. You're not only you're harassing somebody, but you're interfering with the person who's displaying the culture of the country. Yeah, which in England that's illegal, right? So I think honestly that's a pretty justifiable decision to make it so people can't visit that area.
No, yeah, I understand. I think that's a good thing. It's just sad that it's come to that point.
It is.
I think it's because Japan, like we talked about, the yen getting weaker, so it's easier to come here. It's cheaper to come here. So you have people with less manners coming. Yeah.
There's another thing. I want to talk about Shibuya, but I also want to talk about...
I want to talk about the Lawson too.
I want to talk about Kyoto a little bit more. I didn't. Tell me about Lawson. Don't spoil it. Yeah. So Kyoto is. I think this is the mayor who proposed this idea, and I don't think it's been decided yet. They're still debating, but basically, I think the mayor of Kyoto has come out and said that they want to do two separate charges. Yeah. One is going to be a tourist charge, and one's going to be like a local citizen charge. Yeah. And a lot of people are really upset about that. And personally, I don't like that either, because here's the thing, like he explained like why he wants to do it. And I think I can kind of get behind his intent, right? It's like, okay, well, it's really expensive to maintain these places, and all of this overcrowding with tourism is really putting a strain on public transportation. And so we're going to charge people that are visiting Kyoto a little bit more to compensate for that. Okay, fair enough. I think that's a pretty reasonable statement to make. Here's my problem with it, though, is I think that actually that law will be racial profiling. Yeah. Because how do you know if somebody's a citizen? Yeah. Right? You could say, oh, well, look at their skin color. Yeah. Do these people look different? Okay. Oh, well, that's not going to be the case. We'll issue all people who are residents in Kyoto a card. Yeah. It's like, okay, fair. Here's my problem. Is the police going to stop a random Japanese person on the street to see their residence card in Kyoto? No, that's not going to happen. They will, however, probably stop a white person who lives in Kyoto. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't have that system without racial profiling. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And for a country like the United States, where your citizenship is not really tied to your ethnicity at all,
I really don't think that's okay. But here's the thing. I think
Hey guys, we're interrupting this awesome podcast with the two of us to tell you about a really special thing. It's called the Austin and Arthur Friends.
In the Austin and Arthur Friends, you're going to get this video with English and Japanese subtitles. 日本語と英語の字幕両方ついている動画もゲットできるんですね。You can also get a PDF script so you can read along with it. You'll get the video, the long conversation in separate videos, so it's easier for you to watch as well. You'll also get access to a 会員限定 online community and also opportunities to talk directly with me and Austin.
Yeah, you know, because we're really fun to talk to.
Well, I am. Austin's really boring.
That's a lie. It's the opposite.
He's correct. I'm the boring one.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya. So honestly, what I think this is that this is actually a deterrent for fewer people to come, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah.
Like if you want less people to use a service, you charge more for it.
Yeah.
And personally, Kyoto is like out of control now, man.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. What I don't want is, I think it'd be fair if they make it applicable to people on tourist visas. And
okay.
Not necessarily people who live here. So like, because I don't want to be charged that. And why would I get charged that? Because I'm just like, I live here and I'm polite and I treat the place nicely.
Here's what I think, and this is probably not going to be a very popular opinion. I think they should raise the price for everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the most fair thing. If the mayor is coming out and saying, look, it's expensive maintaining these places, you know what? Raise the cost.
Yeah, I understand that too, but then you also have to think about who is causing the majority of the damage and who's causing the majority of the upkeep.
I mean, sure. Yeah, that's true, but you can't have a system that feels fair while maintaining that. So,
yeah, yeah, but it's kind of goes back to like, you know, it was funny because when I talked with my sister about this, because I told her about how, you know, you and I, when we try to get apartments here, we get profiled, and people say, no foreigners, we don't want foreigners.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my sister didn't really see there was much of a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not part of the culture, you didn't know the rules, like it's more of a pain to deal with you.
And it's really subtle too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not outright saying like, I don't want to communicate with you. Yeah. But there's usually not saying no foreigners allowed, but there's all this like kind of like subtle things like, oh, well,
they say straight up to me, no, I don't want to deal with a foreigner. Like, 外国人禁止なんですね。わかりました.
Yeah, but they're talking to like the apartment people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, and listen, you know, I understand that because it's a pain in the butt dealing with all these things. Because I remember, you know, I go to Kyoto every 3 months for events for my students, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember last time I went, I was at Fushiminari and I was just hanging out there. And there were these people who, you know how they have like the big torii at the bottom of the hill? And then you go up to the hill in front of the Shinden, or like the thing, they have another torii there. Yeah. So there's like this pathway going up, right? Yeah. So there were these people who are sitting down in the side eating something. Mm-hmm. And there's a sign up front that says no food or drink. Yeah. Because it's like a church, right? You don't eat or drink inside a church. Yeah. And I remember there were these like 3 Russian people eating, and this Japanese guy comes by and speaks to them in English and says, "You can't eat here. Yeah. This is a holy place." Yeah. And they were like, huh? Yeah. It's like, "No, you can't eat here." And they were trying to brush him off, but he was really like coy about it. He was really pushy about it. And then they finally left, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know, like,
see, the problem that I have with that is when I hear that, it's like, yeah, those guys are jerks. And I'm not saying what they did is right by any means. Like, obviously they should not be dumb and they should look around and see signs, but that seems like a failure from the shrine itself, just not putting up proper signage,
enough signs,
like, or you know, maybe even having some kind of like attendant or somebody whose job it is to like go and talk to somebody like that. You shouldn't have random people coming up, because first of all, it's dangerous for that person, because you don't know how those people will react, but also, like, what authority do they have?
Well, it's the sign. Like those signs,
sure.
So the way that signs work in Japan, right, is signs give you permission to call someone out on something. Yeah, because they say, "Look, it's on the sign." Yeah, and the guy said too, "It's on the sign. You can't do it."
I just don't think that's an effective system.
I mean, I understand it's a high. it works in like a high context culture.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
But then what about this? So like at Meiji Jingu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love Meiji Jingu. It's one of my favorite places in Tokyo.
Yeah, it's really great.
The big torii in the front, they had to put fences around it because
Yeah.
people carve their initials and shit into it.
I hate that so much.
So like they had to, like they wrote down, they said irresponsible people are defacing this, so we have to put a fence around it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think it's Japanese people doing that, you know?
Well, you know, I don't think it's unique to foreigners either, though. Like, because you have this problem all over the world with people defacing stuff, you know? And it's just, at the end of the day, that's just how society's kind of evolved. And it's as unfortunate as it is, you just have to put up more signage and security about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to go back to the way it was.
No, I understand, but this is the thing. What I'm saying is that these problems and these upkeep are coming because of foreign tourists coming in. It's not Japanese tourists who are causing these problems. So it makes sense to treat them differently. And you know, here's the thing. As a result of that, I'm going to get racially profiled. I've already been racially profiled a few times.
Yeah.
But listen, that comes with the territory. I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah.
If let's say World War II happened during my time and I used to live in Germany, I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI came to my door and said, "Hey, I'd like to ask you some questions." Like, I can understand why they would do that because I lived in Germany. That doesn't
make it okay, though.
Why not? It's trying to be... It's
still racial profiling, man.
But listen,
racial profiling is never okay.
Why?
Because it's not right.
Why?
Oh, dude, I don't know if we should get into this on the channel.
Well, we can,
but like it's the thing. Okay, like you know, I'm gonna put it up to a recent thing that happened in the early 2000s with 9/11, right? Every single time you would go to the airport, you would see a Middle Eastern person getting searched.
Yeah.
And so that kind of follows your example too, with like German and getting approached by the FBI. Yeah. I would bet 99.9, and probably that's even too low of a percentage of the amount of people who are actually terrorists that are going through the airport that happen to be Middle Eastern. They're not being treated right.
I would say it comes with the territory, man. Like, I think forcibly moving people out of their houses like you did with the Japanese people during World War II, I think that's crossing the line because you're taking away their rights. Yeah. But if someone wants to get on a plane and there's someone who fits your profile that actually has a crime history, that just comes with the territory. If there was a notice in Tokyo saying a white guy stabbed someone, and then they come to my door saying, "Hey, I want to ask you some questions. I'm a white guy. I fit the description." It just comes with the territory, man.
The problematic thinking that comes from that is an issue that you see in the US of a lot of people being wrongly incarcerated for things, though.
Yeah, so I understand if it goes into being wrongly incarcerated, but like if you go back to the TSA checks of like the Middle Eastern people, how many of those people were incarcerated, you know? Like, if there's nothing wrong.
I mean, a lot of those people have really traumatic stories of you know, getting like cavity searches, for example. Yeah. And you know, for a long time, eventually they switched to women that were, you know, inspecting women. But there was a long time where male TSA inspectors were inspecting women, forcing them to take all their clothes off. Yeah. So there's a lot of like sexual harassment stuff that can come from that. It's the problem with that is it opens up the opportunity for abuse. Yeah. And that's the issue that I have with that.
Okay, so if you're worried about that abuse, I can understand that. Yeah. So, but we were originally talking about different prices on the train.
We got off on a bit of a tangent, but I think that is applicable to this situation though. But that if like, you know, if you bringing it back to the discussion of Kyoto, if you bring it to foreigners or tourists getting charged more, but let's just say it how it really is, foreigners getting charged more, right? That opens it up to abuse, right? All of a sudden, you have people getting treated differently in Kyoto, right?
I mean, they're already treated differently though.
But I mean, you've already created an avenue for people to go, okay, the government is sanctioning me to treat this person differently because of who they are. Yeah. That, because the government's saying okay, that means I think it's okay. And you see how the goalpost gets kind of shifted.
I can understand that too. I mean, I understand where you're coming from because I also used to feel that way too.
Yeah.
But there's so much crap that happens here. Look,
I don't disagree about that. Like, it sucks.
Like, do you know about the Lawson situation?
No,
Actually,
no.
Wait,
so
tell me how much time do we have? 5 minutes.
Oh
great,
my God.
great. We have 5
Dude,
minutes
we talked about this so much. I didn't even get to talk about
just
Shibuya.
for the viewers. So just to tell you, we're trying to keep these episodes down to 30 minutes because it's better for everyone. I think we can also do part 2 of these talks too.
Yeah.
But so what happened with Lawson? So there's a Lawson in Shizuoka, or is it? No, maybe it's Yamanashi. That has a beautiful view of Mount Fuji behind it.
Okay. Yeah. I heard about this. Yeah.
And so people were always taking pictures of them in Mount Fuji, and they were standing in the road blocking traffic. They were littering in front of the Lawson. They were not throwing away the trash properly.
Yep.
So Lawson, they put up like a black guard so that you couldn't see Mount Fuji from the place where
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. It's just like like these problems are happening and like a cost is incurred and it's not the Japanese tourists who are making this problem. You know?
I would argue that Japanese people have just as much fault as tourists in that situation.
Then why wasn't this put up like before COVID?
It might have just been a situation where maybe it wasn't as well advertised or it wasn't like blown up on social media. Because like, here's the thing, man. Like, I walk around Tokyo. Yeah. Like, it's not just foreigners who litter. I see guys throw away cans and like discard cigarette butts on the ground all the time.
It depends on the area. Depends on the area.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not just foreigners who are causing all of the problems. Now I know it's not all the problems. It's most of the situation.
Yeah.
I want to bring up this last example on this topic because I think this one's a little bit more muddied, and this is Shibuya.
Shibuya, yeah.
So Shibuya has made an announcement that it is no longer legal to drink outside.
Yeah.
Starting this October.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, as much as I hate to say this, I think it's probably a good decision in the end.
Yeah, because before you were like really against that.
I am upset about it because it's something that I partake in and I really enjoy. And there's actually a drinking culture in Tokyo that has like kind of started up in the past probably 4 or 5 years of just drinking outside of convenience stores. But yeah, so right off the bat, you would look at this and go, okay, well, this is because foreigners are coming here and just trashing up the place. And yeah, that is happening. But a large percentage of the people that are outside drinking are Japanese.
Yeah. Are they staying in front of the convenience stores?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to like Miyashita, is it Miyashita?
Miyashita Koen, yeah.
Yeah. If you go there, if you go to the Don Quixote, right next to the Scramble, if you go to, trying to think of like the underpass, if you guys know Shibuya, you know exactly these areas I'm talking about.
Yeah.
These are all drinking spots, and you go there, and they're young Japanese people and foreigners.
Yeah. Okay.
And so this is the result of a law that's kind of affecting both people, but and I think this is probably the best way to resolve the situation because recently this past year they had like, I don't even know who's hiring these people, but there's these like people in yellow vests that will walk around Shibuya and kind of be like, hey, you're not supposed to drink here. And it's like, are you a cop?
Yeah.
Who are
probably
you?
Like Chonaikai people.
Yeah. And every single time you never see them walk up to Japanese people.
Yeah.
Even though you'll go to like Miyashita Koen and there's, a ton of people all sitting like, kind of on the side of the street.
Yeah.
And there'll be a mix of foreigners and Japanese. And every single time they always go up to the foreigners. Yeah, so I think setting a law where it's like, okay, look, here's a problem. We want to stop this problem. We're just going to blanket do this thing. And yeah, it's not a popular decision, but we want to fix the problem. I think that's the best way to resolve it, because then you're not targeting a group of people. Yeah,
I get that. I mean, it just goes down for me, and I understand that like Japanese people are not a monolith. Foreign people are not a monolith. There's diversity in each of them.
Yeah.
But I would say like 90% of the problems come from foreigners. And so if you want to attack 90% of the problem, you can like just target 90% of the problem, you know, and then you have it all, you have 90% of the problem gone, you know? Like, cause I know you talk about how, you know, there are also a good percentage of Japanese people drinking outside or whatever. But granted, this is 5 years ago now. When I would do that with my friends, it was like one Japanese person for every 10 foreign people there. Yeah. It was really like 10% or less. And the problems
it's definitely changed.
Okay. Maybe they're coming to practice English. Or whatever.
I think it's just I think the like societies just kind of shifted.
Yeah.
And people I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go. It's fine.
But I think a big reason why it's so popular right now is because izakaya, I'm not going to say they're dying out, but that style of social interaction is becoming less popular.
Yeah, because it's more expensive.
It's well, not only that, because it can be more expensive. It's, you know, we go outside of Tokyo, it's cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But the main issue is, I think you're seeing this with younger Japanese people, where they're more cosmopolitan minded. I guess is how I would put it. Where you don't have these like social awkwardness of like going up and talking to strangers. Yeah. That's something younger Japanese people are a lot more comfortable with. So they're more comfortable in situations where there's this kind of non-committal free flow environment where they can go kind of just drink with people.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I haven't seen that. But then again, my kid's almost 4, so I haven't been able to like do any socializing for 4 years.
It's been a long time. I mean, even just us going out and drinking, it's been like ages.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now we both have kids, so
I know.
Yeah, we're like old men now. We're homebody dads, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess so. Like, so we kind of came to the point where foreigners are causing problems, but you want everything overall to get changed. And I'm like, it's okay to target just the foreigners.
Yeah, but I acknowledge that there's issues out there, but I think the best way to do it is to avoid targeting specific groups, because it's like then you get in this really muddied water of like, okay, should we target specific foreign groups? Like, are Chinese people just really the problem here? Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like then you get to points where it's like really blatantly racist. So it's like,
I get it. I understand, man.
But cool.
This was a spicy episode. I know this is spicy. I didn't think it would be like this, but anyways, man, I'll see you next time.
All right.